So I'm just going to mix this by hand in a little bowl. I usually do this by hand. It's just easier for me to feel it. And throughout the process, I'm just going to keep adding powdered sugar till I get it thick enough that it will hold a pretty good peak. You'll see here I'll pull up on my spatula and it kind of falls over in the bowl. It doesn't really hold it. So I'm going to add some more powdered sugar, stir it again, and I'm just incorporating that powdered sugar slowly so it doesn't go all over the place. And I'll stir it in, and then I'll pull up and it holds it, but still kind of falls over in the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to add a little bit more and stir that in, and you're going to see it'll hold a pretty good peak without flopping over. And that's going to be perfect for flowers and doing any of the other piping. So here it is in the bowl. It looks nice and beautiful. And you can add white. I'm going to add red, so I just used AmeriColor Super Red. And here I just put a little bit in a bag. This is just Super Red in a bag. The next one you're going to see is a pod, and I just did some red and white so that I can make a pretty poinsettia multicolor. This next one I just painted some Super Red in the bag, and then I put white in that, and you'll see here, see how it's kind of spread throughout the bag, which I love. And then I just took a regular bag and combined red and white in it. So there's all different ways to bag it. These are the tips I'm going to use. These are just some leaf tips, and you need a bag with a coupler, and you need a nail head. That's a flower nail. That's very important. So you'll see here I'm going to take, I made some green. I only used green on one of the poinsettias. So I'm going to take some green and take a little parchment square. And sorry, at first I have the camera down a little bit. I have some yellow nonpareils. You could use gold, you could use white, you could use red, whatever color you want. I put a little blob of icing on the middle of my parchment paper, which you can't see. Oh yeah, you can. Yay. And I'm going to dip that into some of the yellow, and I'm just going to use my finger to kind of push these kind of mound up. I don't want it to be flat, I want it to be mounded. So then I'm going to do it again, and then I'm going to take my icing and begin piping on some green petals. So I'm just using the leaf tip. I'm going to use it with the tip down. So it looks like, if you imagine like a bird, if a bird was like spitting out food, that's kind of what you want, or if an alligator was spitting out food. And I'm just applying pressure and pulling. Slower you pull, the more ripples you'll have. The faster you pull, the straighter your line will be. So see right there, pulled real fast. So I just built up 5 leaves on the bottom of my poinsettia, and I'm going to take the red and I'm going to build on top of that the actual red leaves for the poinsettia. Again, building, pressure, and pulling slowly will give you those ripples in your petals. If you pull fast as you're squeezing, it's going to just create this straight line, and you don't particularly want that. So I'm always adding 5, and I'm going to go back in and put some more of the yellow nonpareils in there, but how pretty is that? I normally use these as soon as they're dry, put them on a cookie, and I don't wait longer because they are butter, so I want to use them as soon as possible. With this bag I have a little tip on there, I think it's the ST50, and I have the bag of icing that has a little bit of red painted in it, so when you first start piping it's not really going to come out, but you'll start to see there starts to come out. I'm doing the same thing where I apply pressure and build it out. I don't know why I did it off camera. That's silly. But you'll start to see I'm going to add some more, and there's another poinsettia that I did. They're so pretty and so easy. Notice on these I didn't put green leaves on the background. You can always add those in later or not at all. But again, just building up that poinsettia. I love using the flower nail because obviously it's easy to twirl it around, add some more parels, and you're done. And I just put these off on a baking sheet. I just kind of slide it off of your nail head with that whole parchment paper, and I just put them on a baking sheet and let them dry. And you can make a whole bunch at one time. That's the nice thing about using this icing. But you can see here I'm just, again, building in 5s. Usually flowers are odd numbers, so remember petals in odd numbers. But see, look how pretty they are. and just let those dry, and they can be used. I'm going to show you, I put one on one of the coffee cups, which turned out really cute. So lovely. Okay, so now we have all this buttercream left over, so let's do some more cookies, some other cookies that you can still use the same icing but do different techniques. So this is a little mistletoe. This is going to be just kind of that plop, a dot, pull down, and I'm just going to basically build these up. And I know I'm leaving quite a bit of space, which I'm okay with, because I'm going to come back later and build up on top of that. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, drawing, or building up a blob of icing and pulling down. Kind of like you would do the cable knit texture that I'm going to do later, but I'm using it a little bit looser so that I can come back and build up some other ones. So see, I'm going to come back and fill in those middle areas. How cute is that? And then you can use the red to create a bow because it will hold on to its shape, which is super nice, and it won't run together. So I'm just going to put a pretty bow. This was a super easy cookie. Crackled the back before I baked it, and then just added this mistletoe and the bow. Such a cute cookie. I'm going to add some white mistletoe berries here in just a second. Probably one of my favorite cookies so far this year. I love the rustic look of the mistletoe. Another option for a rustic cookie is a snowflake. So I just took again with the crackle before I baked it, drawing some lines with my buttercream, and then I'm going to go back and do that same thing. Build up a blob of icing and pull it down towards the line. And I'm going to go around the whole snowflake again and create the other little arms of the snowflake. And then I'm going to go in the middle and work. This is probably, again, one of my favorite techniques. Really pretty against that chocolate and crackle cookie. Turns out really pretty, and it's really easy. Plus, it's buttercream, so it tastes really good. Or modified buttercream. I love the texture that this icing allows you to show. So you'll see on this picture, look at that texture. I love that. It's perfect. Another blob technique, Christmas tree. Big blobs, big blobs of buttercream icing. Take a palette knife and just push down and pull up. And then move on to the next row. Same thing, blob on either equal amounts or one less. So that was 5, so I think I do 4 on this one. And then work your way up the tree. Notice I changed the palette knife. Those plastic palette knives seem to work a lot better. So I'm just going to work my way up this tree. How easy is this cookie? And so cute and so delicious. How easy. Love it. Okay, so candy canes. I just did a white candy cane with some red lines, and now I'm just going to go back in between those red lines and do a cable knit texture with the buttercream, modified buttercream. This is my favorite way to do candy canes. I don't like doing candy canes. They never turn out the way that I want them to. This is probably the first candy cane I think I have ever made that I absolutely love. So here are all the cookies that we did with the modified buttercream. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have happy holidays.